welcome to 5225, 52 Weeks of Loving Movies, week 19. The theme this week is the streets of LA, where I watched movies named after the streets of LA. There are a couple neighborhoods in LA, but this was a really fun little project to do. I had mentioned on the last episode that I originally came up with this because I was going to watch a movie about making movies and realized, this one, I wonder how many movies have the name of Streets of LA as their title. And I went and looked it up and found a bunch of movies that I had seen and loved and some movies that I hadn't seen that I wanted to see. So I decided I'm just going to postpone this. I will watch it later and added this theme to the movies, and I'll address which movie that was when I get to it. But this was really fun because as a film fan, there's a lot of love for the idea of LA, even though most of these movies are kind of scathing rebuke of the areas they're from, but still they bring a lot of joy and happiness to me as a fan of film in general. But without any further ado, let's get to the first one, which is Sunset Boulevard by my favorite director, Billy Wilder. This one was easy. As soon as I decided that this was the theme, I was like, okay, I have to watch Sunset Boulevard again, because not only is it by my favorite director, I think it's probably my favorite director's best film. While The Apartment is my favorite movie that Billy Wilder's made, I think Sunset Boulevard is his best film and one of the best films ever made, I think. I could go on about this movie for a very long time, but I'm gonna keep this relatively short and talk about my favorite thing about this movie, which is the character of Norma Desmond. Norma Desmond is so well written, and Gloria Swanson plays her with such exquisite precision that probably one of the greatest characters ever created is born out of this marriage between a character, or rather actor and writer, that ascends beyond icon status into the uncharted realm of perfection. I think that the character, every moment that Gloria Swanson is on screen, number one, she's magical. Number two, she is telling you who she is. Now, I had mentioned this in a comment recently because I went on a little tirade about how much I hate Cliff Booth from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and my friend Dylan rightfully said, well, Cliff Booth is pathetic, and that he only sees him as pathetic, and I agree with that. I think Cliff Booth is incredibly pathetic. I unfortunately don't think the film thinks that Cliff Booth is pathetic. He's seen as very, very cool and heroic, and kind of the anchor for the movie that the film does see as pathetic, which is Rick Dalton. I think that Cliff Booth, while pathetic, is not shown to be pathetic much in that movie. Gloria Swanson playing Norma Desmond, every second she's on screen shows you who she is and what she cares about, and this pathetic character that has gotten a raw deal. Hollywood has left her behind, which is something that was true for Gloria Swanson as well. Hollywood had left her behind, and I think that's why she was able to play this role with such perfection. Every second that Norma Desmond is on screen, she's showing you, she's telling you, this is who I am. This is the person that I am, for better or worse, and whether she deserves better or not, this is the person that the system has created her to be. She was put in a position of immense value and then thrown aside as though she never meant anything to them at all. So I understand the character of Norma Desmond in a way that I could never understand the character of Cliff Booth. But I don't want to talk about Cliff Booth while I'm talking about this movie anymore. From the first time you see her until that last shot with the "I'm ready for my close-up," oh, that iconic, beautiful, wonderful shot, you are instantly drawn to this character. There is a magneticism that uh, is rarely reached in film, in my opinion. I think that there are a lot of really great performances and some favorite performances of that I will have always and will always love. Uh, Gloria Swanson as Norma Desmond is up there. It's near the top. If I were speaking objectively, it would probably be at the top. I think I have a few above her, simply because just for personal reasons. But it's one of the greatest performances ever made, which created one of the greatest characters that has ever existed in film. The film itself is wonderful. It's beautiful. It has a lot of really great moments and cameos from a lot of the old Hollywood people, which is funny because this is also an old Hollywood movie, but older Hollywood people. Buster Keaton makes a cameo. Cecil B. DeMille makes a cameo in there. There's a bunch of old Hollywood people who make a cameo. In fact, the guy who plays Max, her butler, I guess is what we would call him, her assistant, is a director. In fact, he directed the movie that they are watching with her in it, in that little home theater, which I think is really cool. I think that all of the characters in this are incredibly well drawn. Not just Norma Desmond, all of them are really great. There's a lot of really great filmmaking techniques. There's that opening shot of Gillis in the water with the cops behind him, and the thing is, like, today we don't blink an eye at something like that. You can shoot something from under the water up through there, but that was something that they were not able to do and get the shot they wanted, which was those policemen behind him while looking at his face under the water. So what they ended up having to do was film from outside of the water down to a mirror at the bottom of the pool, which was reflecting his face and the policeman behind him, which I think is just it's absolute brilliance. There's so much great filmmaking in this. Billy Wilder's filmography could just be a great filmmaking class for anybody who aspires to be a great filmmaker, and this is at the top. I think this is his crowning achievement. I don't think you look much further than this if you want to know how to make a great, dare I say, perfect. I don't know if there are perfect movies. I've always said that there aren't, but this is damn close. So if you've never seen Sunset Boulevard, I highly recommend it. Billy Wilder, just go watch everything that he makes because he's, again, my favorite filmmaker. But yeah, go watch Sunset Boulevard, and I'm going to move on from this. I could go on for hours and hours and hours, but I'm going to continue on to the next movie I watched, which was the movie that inspired this theme, which was David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. Now, as I said, I started watching this because I wanted to just watch movies about making movies. It's barely about making movies, so I think I've kind of moved. I'm glad I did this because there is a making movies is a huge theme in this movie. But that's not what the core of this is about. So I'm glad that I moved this and that I was able to do this theme, because like I said, I was very excited about this theme. So I'm glad I at least started it, even though it wouldn't have necessarily been completely on theme, but it still would have worked with that theme. But I'm glad I had moved it. This is a movie that has grown on me a lot in the 25 years that it's been in my life. Well, not quite 25 years, almost 25 years. I'm a massive Twin Peaks fan and pretty big David Lynch fan. I'm not 100% on him, but I do love a lot of the stuff that he makes. In fact, I was just watching Twin Peaks up until recording. Like, I was watching it, and then I was like, well, I got to record, and then I turned it off because I just love Twin Peaks. But so because I'm so into Twin Peaks and relatively into David Lynch, this movie should have been right up my alley, and it absolutely was. Eventually, it wasn't on my first watch, and not because I didn't enjoy it, because I did enjoy it, and it wasn't because I didn't get it, because I did get it, at least my understanding of what it was. And if I didn't get it back then I still don't, because I still have the same read on it that I had the first time I watched it. And I don't really want to spoil it, because I know there are people probably watching this who have never seen it. And I do think that it is worth watching, as weird as it is. And I think that kind of the getting it, explaining what I get about it would be in spoiler territory. So I'm going to refrain from that. If you want to know kind of my thoughts on it, you can come to me privately, and I'd be happy to answer anything. Leave a comment, and I can put a spoiler warning there. But I'm not gonna do that here. As I was saying, it's something that I've always kind of got. There are nuances that I pick up here and there as I rewatch it through the years. But my understanding of it has remained basically the same. And the thing is, like, as I mentioned before, I liked it when I first watched it, but there was always just something like in the way for me, like loving this movie, and considering it in masterpiece territory. And I'm not quite sure it's masterpiece territory yet, but I will say that I have kind of overcome that little block, and I think I figured out what it was after many rewatches over the years. My hesitation with this film never came from my disconnect from the film itself, or my lack of understanding or anything like that. It actually came from a disconnect from my ability to understand that not everything was the answers were not always going to be presented to me on a platter. The movie wasn't always going to just give me the answers, which I knew. And listen, I love a lot of movies with ambiguous endings. I love a lot of movies that you kind of have to suss out yourself. It wasn't that specifically. It was that it wasn't that I needed someone to explain it to me, because, like I said, I got it. What I needed was for someone to tell me I was right about what I was watching. And I've realized over the years that I don't actually need that, because I was right. And if you have a different read than I do, you are right. An artist relinquishes control of the interpretation once they release it to the public for consumption. So at that point, it becomes whatever I interpret from this film is the correct thing. Whatever you interpret from this film is the correct thing. And if that interpretation doesn't sit right with you, and you don't think that it jives the way you want it to, it's okay for you not to enjoy that film. Which I think is something that a lot of film fans will fight about, is like, you didn't like because you didn't get it. No, I got it. I just didn't like. I didn't like what I got about it. Like, people will fight over that. I say nonsense. I say, if whatever you interpreted from this film is correct, and if that interpretation does not work for you, then that makes the film not work for you, you have the correct read on this film, on any film. So this film, now that I've kind of come to accept that idea, that I don't need it spoon-fed to me. I don't even need justification that I'm right. I don't need anybody to tell me that I'm right about it. And over the years, I've found people who have the same read as me. So it's not even. So I've had that validation. I just don't need it. I don't need it for this film. And as it stands, is a film that I love. I don't think it doesn't quite hit masterpiece status that I think it does for a lot of people, but it is one that I very much enjoy. And I think that the actors in it and the art of it and the craft by David Lynch. It's all exquisite. It's all very, very good, and I really love it. I will say that it's interesting because this film was originally a pilot for Mulholland Drive, the series, which, depending on who you ask, was originally going to be a spinoff from Twin Peaks following Audrey. But David Lynch has both confirmed and denied that, so I don't know. I don't know if it actually ever was. That would have been pretty cool, and I can see how that would be the case. But there's definitely the parts that there's a lot of this you can tell was meant for the TV pilot. Then they came back after that pilot was canceled, basically, and or they didn't move forward with the series after the pilot, and then David Lynch expanded it into a movie, and you can kind of see where the division is. There's some stuff that's never going to be on ABC, and you know that stuff is definitely new. There's stuff that you can tell is setting up an entire series. You can see all that, and it seems like a series I would have really enjoyed, considering how much I really like Twin Peaks. So there is that aspect of it. Which I think is pretty cool, seeing the division, but I also think that it was also streamlined into a really cool film that is independent from that. Like, it's not dependent on that knowledge that it was a pilot that was expanded. It's just cool information. I also think that I also love the guy who had the dream about the man behind Winkies, Patrick Fleischer. I think he is an unsung hero in film and television. That he's one of those guys that I think a lot of people would recognize if you're Googling his name right now, you're going to see him and go, oh yeah, that guy. He's great. He's great in this. He's great in a bunch of things. I've seen him. He's actually been in several movies that I've watched recently, and I'm always like, gosh, I love Patrick Fleischer. I wish he was in more, but that also might. I wish he was in more for his benefit. I mean, he's in a lot, but I wish he had bigger roles in certain things. But it also, there's a mystique and there's a joy in him being just kind of a background guy every once in a while in certain things. So he's great. There's a lot of really great actors in this. I'm not going to go through all of them, but Naomi Watts became a star because of this movie. It's a shame that Laura Herring didn't quite follow that, because she's also really great in this movie. But I'm going to move on from Mulholland Drive, because I've already been talking for a very long time, and it's just been 2 movies. So I'm going to move on to Magnolia, which is my 3rd movie. I will be relatively brief on this. This movie gets better every time I watch it. For a movie that is over 3 hours, it does not feel like it's over 3 hours. If you've never seen this is a movie about a bunch of people's interconnected lives as they go through this one day. This all takes place over a single day, and just how their lives are not only progressing but intersecting with each other, with an overall theme of chance. Like, what are the chances that this would happen? And that's really all I'm going to say about the plot of it. I think that it is if you can trust the movie and sit with it as it goes on, it's a very rewarding experience. It also has my second favorite needle drop of all time, which is Amy Mann's Wise Up. And if you've never seen that moment, watch the movie just for that moment, because it has never, ever failed to move me. This is one that I didn't realize was named after a street. It's named after Mulholland Boulevard. So Mulholland Boulevard in not Mulholland, Magnolia Boulevard in the San Fernando Valley. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's not LA. But part of San Fernando Valley is in LA, and so I had to kind of look to see where the line is, and it does Magnolia fall within LA, and it does. So once I found that, I thought it was just named after the flower / tree, but no, it's named after a street, and so it worked on here. Paul Thomas Anderson is one of my favorite directors. There's only one of his movies that really didn't work very well for me, and that's Licorice Pizza, that I owe a rewatch. I've told everyone I owe this movie a rewatch. There's just something about it that didn't quite work for me, but other than that, I'm just a big fan of his movies. So and this is the third movie from Paul Thomas Anderson that we've covered after There Will Be Blood and Boogie Nights, and it likely won't be the last that I cover, because we already been halfway through this year. So there's a good chance there'll be another one, but I'm going to leave Magnolia here. If you've never seen it, please go watch it. It's a really great, interesting experience. And even if you don't love it, I think the experience is worth the trip. I'm going to move on to the next movie that I watched, which this is my first watch. Actually, the rest of these are first watches. I got my 3 rewatches out of the way, and then the rest are first time watches. And that is another movie named after a street, which is Hollywood Boulevard, directed by Joe Dante and Alan Arkush. Arkush? I don't know how to say that. But there's a very specific reason that I watched this, and not only because it was named after a street, but it's been on my radar for a while, because you may know this from this channel or anywhere else that I've talked about it, but I've become mildly, probably heavily obsessed with Roger Corman, the director / producer of a lot of like small, independent, low budget films from the 50s through the 90s, I think. And he was an executive producer on this. He's not credited, but he is an executive producer on this. But the reason that it kind of came across my radar is because he had a bet with, let me get the name, 1 second. He had a bet with another producer, John Davison, that over who could make the cheapest film for New World Pictures. And so this one was Joe Davison is the producer on this, so this was his entry in it. And Roger Corman was the executive producer. Cut the budget down to, I don't remember what, but cut the shooting days from 15, which was their standard for that production company, to 10. So this was shot in 10 days with a very low budget. And the way that they and kind of the idea of keeping this low budget was that they used a bunch of stuff from a bunch of shots and clips from movies that they owned as some of the action shots, which is really funny, you know. And to be fair, it does it fairly seamlessly. I don't feel like at any point I'm like, oh wait, they moved on to death. They cut from something unrelated to Death Race 2000, which they do cut to Death Race 2000, but it makes sense in the context of the story, and I never feel like this is added and doesn't relate. So it's done very well. It also was filmed on short ends, which are the parts of film that are after back when we used film all the time. After something would be shot, they would take the stuff that had been shot and leave the unused portion in the can, and then they would sell that to filmmakers for very cheap. So it's very short pieces of film of varying qualities that low budget companies would have to use, and so they shot this on short ends, which I think also is kind of pretty cool, considering that the quality does seem pretty consistent throughout. So either they got a really good batch of short ends, or they were able to fix it for a relatively low cost. Another thing that I love about this movie is that it takes aim at itself, because the movie is about it kind of is a almost rebuke, but not really a rebuke, but it is spoofing low budget exploitation production companies and films, which is what this is and what these people specialize in. So and it makes for a pretty funny movie, especially if you know that side of, if you've seen these types of movies, and if you kind of know a little bit about that side of Hollywood, it makes for a pretty funny movie. This is Joe Dante and Alan Arkush's first films each. Joe Dante would go on to make a lot of really great movies that I and probably you love, and he got his start as a Corman guy, same as Francis Ford Coppola. But actually, a lot of really great filmmakers got their start as Corman guys. But yeah, so it's this movie was going to be right at my alley, and it absolutely was. Another thing that's just really that I love because of my connection to Corman and all that is that actor Dick Miller, who plays the agent of the actress's agent in this movie, is in a lot of Corman stuff, and he in this movie is named Walter Paisley, which is the name of his character in Roger Corman's Bucket of Blood, but it's also the name of characters he's played like 5 to 8 times, because they keep reusing that name as an homage, including Corman. Corman's used it a couple times. Joe Dante has used it a couple times. He's used it here, and his name is Walter Paisley in The Howling, also in Chopping Mall, which was produced by Corman. His name is Walter Paisley. There's that, yeah. So the fact that he is called Walter Paisley in this is just a fun little Easter egg for people who love these movies and who love him as an actor, which I do. I think Dick Miller is kind of an unsung hero of film in general, but especially low budget film. But yeah, I enjoy this. I thought it was pretty funny. This isn't gonna appeal to everyone, as I've kind of intimated, but it is a movie that I really liked. So there we go. I'm gonna move on now to another movie I had never seen, which is Miracle Mile. This is where I switched to neighborhoods, because there aren't a whole lot of movies named after streets of LA, and the ones that interested me, I kind of watched. There are a couple others, but that I even would have been interested in, but I kind of moved on to this because I had seen the premise of this, and I thought, oh, that seems interesting. And it was interesting. There's a tone shift in this movie, and I'm just going to go ahead and lay it out there because this movie is marketed on what happens after the tone shift. So I'll just lay it out there. It starts out very much like a romantic comedy, with the boy meets girl, and then they fall in love, and then they have a date planned, and then his alarm doesn't go off, so he's late for the date. And when he shows up late for the date, he gets a phone call on the payphone in next to the diner where they were going to meet, and it's someone telling him that the world is about to end. So what happens after that is he's got an hour to get out of LA before disaster happens, and then it becomes this. It maintains some of the comedy, but it becomes this almost this thriller of this guy trying to get out and this comedy of errors that happens. But there's some masterfully crafted tension in this movie, more than I expected. As I was watching it, I would get to certain points and I was like, oh, I forgot I wasn't breathing during that part. Or, I was like, oh, wow, that was far more tense than I expected for this movie. So while I don't think that the movie fires on all cylinders, hits every point perfectly or anything like that, there is some really great moments in this, some really great moments of tension that I think does make it a worthwhile watch. So this one is going to be a recommend for me. Anthony Edwards, Goose himself, is in this film. He's the star of this film, and I think that it is worth watching. I will say that, and I'm going to move on from there to the final film that I watched, which was Under the Silver Lake by director David Robert Mitchell. Now, I was a fan of David Robert Mitchell's It Follows. So I was excited when this one came out, but I didn't actually see it initially. This was a first time watch because I don't know, just things kept getting in the way. It wasn't, there were issues with availability for me to be able to see it. And then finally I have watched it. Now, the main reason, while I like David Robert Mitchell, the main reason I really want to see it is because I love Andrew Garfield. He's one of my favorite living actors. I think that he's incredible. Plus, I knew that this was kind of a neo-noir movie, and I really dig neo-noir movies. This is a little bit. This one though does fall into another category of neo-noir that may be a term. I may be coining the term. I have no idea. I'm sure I'm not. Which is hipster noir, which is basically it's movies like Brick, and there's some other ones that not only are they making a neo-noir movie, they are proudly, openly using the neo-noir tropes, and not just using them, but winking at you as they do it and saying, right? And I'm the audience member, and I know there's not everybody's going to be this, but I'm the audience member who winks back and is like, yes, exactly. I know this movie didn't work for everyone, and I understand why it didn't work for everyone. It does not. It's not a smooth, cohesive journey throughout, and I understand that. But I do think that it hits the notes for me and what I'm looking for in this type of movie fairly perfectly. It is one of my favorite Andrew Garfield performances now, though. I think that he's really great in this. I heard that he didn't shower for 4 weeks to make this movie, which is interesting, and you can tell when you watch it. Of course, he does swim once, and you see him take a bath in the movie once. So some water is coming across his body at times during this film, but it is interesting that he went through that, and you can kind of tell, and I think it does add to who his character is, which is very cool. I will say that his character is not super likable. I think that the likable thing about him is that Andrew Garfield is playing him. I think that he does and says some things that are not super cool, not like unredeemable. I mean, if it were a real person, you wouldn't want to hang out with that person, but like not in a way that makes him a less interesting character or anything like that. But he does do and say some things that are okay. That I'm not super cool with that, but I think Andrew Garfield keeps the character in a likable enough position that you always kind of feel like you're okay with him. There is something that is, I think, implied about him that the film doesn't directly address, and if that part's true, it really sucks. But the film doesn't, I think, come out and say it. And maybe the film's not even implying it. I just think the film's implying it. Just a quick note from editing Matt here. I also need to mention Patrick Fleischer is also in this movie, and he's also really great in it. That's all. Thank you. Bye. But yeah, it's a film that I very much enjoyed. I really, really liked it. And again, not going to be for everyone. If you've never seen it, If you like Andrew Garfield, I highly recommend it just for his performance. If you like hipster noir or neo noir movies, watch it. See how you feel. I will, again, like I say, it's not smooth, cohesive, and it's not always satisfying where it goes, but it is fun for people like me who just love to see those tropes used, and the fact that they're aware of the tropes and that they are kind of highlighting them does have value to me as a viewer. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and I'm going to move on from that. That was the last one, and now it's time for the week 20 preview, which is, and because we're now officially in summer movie season this week, I have chosen, even though there's not one coming out this week, superhero movies as my theme, and I left it intentionally kind of broad there because I want to kind of decide as I go if something qualifies and what kind of movies I'm going to watch. I don't even know at this point. You know, I have some favorites, and I might watch them just because they're easy watches. I might watch them because I really want to talk about them. I might look for some that might stretch the theme a little bit. I don't exactly know how I'm going to address this theme yet, but that is the theme week 20, and it is superheroes. Talk to me in the comments. What are some of your favorite movies named after streets or neighborhoods in LA? And I will say already, I can hear you all. I can hear Dylan, who I've already talked to about this. Yes, Chinatown would have qualified because it is a neighborhood in LA. Number one, I've watched it fairly recently, and so I didn't really want to cover it yet. Number two, I kind of went on a scathing rebuke of Roman Polanski a couple weeks ago, and I'm thinking maybe I don't. Maybe it's not yet time for me to glorify one of his films. And three, it was on the list, and if I had time to watch a seventh movie, that would have been it. But I didn't, and so I didn't go on that. But tell me in the comments, what are some of your favorite movies named after streets or neighborhoods in LA? What do you think of the movies that I did watch? Did I encourage you to watch any that you hadn't seen? Do you agree or disagree with me on any of these that you have seen? Also, give me some recommendations. What are some of your favorite superhero movies? And bonus points if you go kind of outside the box on them a little bit. Yeah, talk to me in the comments. Thanks.